He wanted Montoya. He was really wanted to.
It was like, and then Juan kind of hangs a left at him like, don't think that. That's my lane.
I'm not giving this to you.
Ralph, you watching the 24?
Oh, that'd be me, Weber. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Can I chat now? Well, Jeff's currently in 6th. He said the car is just so loose, and it's really been loose all day long. Took a big swing at it a couple stops ago. Another big swing this last time with a major wedge and air pressure adjustment. He said, you know what? We're fast, but it's hard to hang on to, especially early in this run. Just does not want to turn for me in the corner.
Thank you, Marty.
You know, we saw Jeff do something on that last lap that was a little. He comes through 3 and 4, and he gets a good run on Montoya, and he ran the bottom through 3 and 4 the lap before, and then he tried to go the high side of Montoya. Now he's gone in the middle and slid back up in front of Montoya to take a little air off his nose and take that groove away.
I don't think that 42's given up yet.
And here comes the 9 by both of them while they're playing with each other.
But he's saving fuel.
Yeah, somebody is.
I think not. Okay. Everybody basically at the edge of their fuel window. Give credit to the 16 crew. They got Greg Biffle off pit road first. He is the race leader. Biffle has only led 10 laps, but he's leading with 36 to go. .33 laps to go here at Michigan. Greg Biffle is the leader by just a second and a half over Mark Martin. Find the largest assortment of NASCAR merchandise with over 100 drivers and 15,000 items available. Shop at NASCAR.com/superstore. And if you've been following Race Buddy, you know you can ask the booth a question. The truck says they have one for us. There it is. With teams worried about tire wear, why do the drivers spin them out
of the pit box?
Right.
I love
Why
that,
do you spin
your
that
question. Well, because, you know, you sit there, be careful with your tires, and you see guys lighting them up coming down the pit. I don't think you take any rubber off a tire when it's cold and you leave pit lane. If they were hot and you spun the tires, then you're going to be taking off a lot of rubber. But when they're cold, they're hard, and you can light them up, and, you know, nothing really comes off them.
That's a good answer. I was just going to say because they can, and it's ungodly cool to spin.
Well,
the
yeah,
tires
it's cool, but you're not supposed to say, I just took a quarter of my tire off on that cool burnout.
Yeah, no, and you're right. You know, when they're hot, it's totally different when these things are up to 230 or 40 degrees and an operating temperature compared to how hard they are and what they are when you leave pit road. Sorry, I was being a smart aleck. Oh, wait a minute, that's me. Oh, wait a minute.
That was pretty interesting. You saw the 2 car really take off high, and actually Montoya, the 42 car, he was down underneath the white line looking for grip down there on the apron.
Yeah, and one thing you can do when you drop down at this point in time in the race, this racetrack has had rubber put down on it for 170 laps. Below that white line, there is no rubber. That's fresh racetrack. Now the problem is your car has to be comfortable enough and tight enough so that you don't knock all the wedge out of the car, so it doesn't unload the car and it gets real loose. But if you can drop it down there, Mark Martin used to be notorious for running below that line.
And it's really like a cheese grater. You get to a point where, you know,
he's all the way down there. That's 4 tires. That's 4 tires on the flat.
But you look at a cheese grater and you hit it with cheese, it fills up all those cracks in that grip, and then it becomes slippery. And now that's what's happened to this racetrack. This racetrack is all filled up with that rubber, and it's slick. Now they're going down on that apron where it's like a fresh cheese grater, and they've got that grip. You see that a lot of racetracks.
There's Jimmy Johnson. He runs in the 3rd position. An update from Lindsay.
Bill, I just asked Chad Knaus if he could make it the rest of the way on fuel. He held up his fingers and said, I don't know, we'll see. All I can say is this morning he told me that his fuel window was about 43-ish. If that's the case, it puts them right there. Here's some in-car communication earlier from Jimmy.
Dude, great work, man. Do everything you can. I know you are, but do everything you can to get around that 5. 60 cannot make it on fuel. They're going to have to slow down their pace here the next few laps. It's going to be between you and the 5.
Jimmy Johnson right now saying that this car feels good. All is quiet because their focus now is getting around that 5 car, Bill.
Thanks, and we apologize. We couldn't. Maybe you heard it at home. You couldn't hear it up here. Biffle by a second and a half.
You know, I got to say, now we're at that stage. This is the Larry McReynolds stage of the race, okay? Where all of our pit reporters from TNT are down there asking questions questions and not getting told the truth. Okay?
Yeah.
Last week, how far can you go? Oh, I can only go 38 laps. And they go 75 laps, it seems like. You know what I mean?
All right.
So it's the same thing. This is, you know, you guys sitting at home know just as much about this as what we're knowing. What we're being told is not always the truth. We're just relaying it.
But you do know they're saving fuel. If they're shutting the engine off under the yellow, you know that it's going to be close.
Oh, it's going to be close.
And you wonder if Biffle is faster than that or is in a conservation mode right now.
I could probably already tell you that Biffle has never been in conservation mode in his life. Okay? He's just slamming.
That's how he got the job, driving for Jack Roush. It's a good story. Might get to tell it to you later. Biffle leads in Michigan, just 26 to go.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing is brought to you by Sprint. NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile. It'll change the way you experience the race. By Coors Light. Get Coors Light pole position alerts on your cell phone. Just text RACE to 42100 to sign up. And by McDonald's.
Greg Biffle is the race leader. There's a new second-place car, Jimmy Johnson. He's 1.7 seconds back of Biffle. There's Mark Martin in third, and we pull out to show you Biffle. And we can tell you, it appears that these guys might be slowing down just a little bit. They could be in some type of fuel-saving mode. Let's check out a fresh take brought to you by Subway Restaurants. Subway, eat fresh. Down to Larry.
Bill, these are the averages we looked at the top of the show. You see, on the average, the last 8 races, first caution lap 27, crossed that one out. Our first caution was not until lap 72. Longest green run, we've had 2 of those long green runs, and one of them was exactly 72 laps. This is the one we're going to keep an eye on, though. The last caution, normally lap 181. In fact, when you look at the 5 out of the last 7 races, we've had a caution in the last 10 laps, and we still have 22 cars on the lead lap right now.
Thank you, Larry. 21 laps to go.
48's loose.
48's loose?
Yeah.
Loose is fast, right?
I don't know. Well,
I don't know, but
it depends how sideways you're going to go off the corner.
it's more aerodynamic when you're running in a straight line. So when you run sideways, you're wasting fuel.
Okay, let's do a top 5 through the field. Greg Biffle got the lead coming off of pit road.
Bill, his crew chief Greg Irwin was working the calculator much like Larry Mack used to in the old days, and under that caution they felt like they were 3 laps short. They told Biffle to run hard as he could until lap 175, then start going into fuel conservation mode. Lindsay?
Matt, a lot of communication going on down here in the pit of Jimmy Johnson. Chad Knaus just told Jimmy, push it hard for 7 more laps. That's their game plan right now. They felt as though they were very, very close. So right now, he's going to see what he's got, Matt.
And Alan Gibson thinks they may be a little short, but they're still working the numbers. They told Mark to start to save fuel. They think they may be close enough to roll the dice and maybe go for it. Marty.
Matt, when Denny Hamlin left pit road, he was about 5 laps short on fuel. And usually when you go out in these strategies, you've heard you guys talk about it, you run hard, then you slow down at the end of the run. Mike Ford and Denny Hamlin are doing the opposite. They slow down at the beginning of the run. They're going to go hard at the end of the run. That could be very interesting. Denny's saying he's doing all he can to stay competitive. Jeff Gordon, however, from Steve Letarte says, we're good to go to the end. Run as hard as you want this entire run. This is going to be good, Bill.
Gonna be fun to watch.
But the thing is, you know, you got to think with 18 to go, if you're sitting there, if you're Martin or Jimmy Johnson or any of those guys, you have to catch the 16 first and hoping that he'll run out of gas. I mean, if you're going to win, you've got to be there. You've got to be out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, you got to be there. It's just like last week. If we go back to the Pocono race last week, Jimmy Johnson said, I went off into turn 1 and I thought Carl ran out of gas. So I powered by him. You know what I mean? Next thing he knows, Carl powers back by him, and then Jimmy has to run hard, and Jimmy runs out of gas, and Carl doesn't. So you got to be close enough to take advantage and push that guy and make that guy in front of you run out of gas.
Yeah, if you're going to be 3 or 4 seconds back behind Biffle and hope he runs out of gas, that ain't going to. You know, that ain't going to work. You've got to be fast enough to be right there.
Yeah, that's the proverbial hope and a promise.
Yeah.
Greg Biffle's fastest lap was on lap 79. He ran a 39.24 seconds. That's about 2.5 seconds faster than he's running right now. Inside of 17 to go here at Michigan. It's Biffle, Johnson, Martin, Hamlin, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards runs in the 6th spot. Who has enough fuel?